Welcome to Thursday's Thoughts. It's a kind of a new little idea I've got for the Coach Casey Club members, just to sort of give you an update on what's going on in the foiling world and the online course and try to keep you connected and let you know what's out there, what's coming, and guess what I've been up to. Um, Interested to hear your thoughts, so give this one a quick listen. I'm trying to keep it to around the 10-minute mark. But basically this week I've updated the paddle section of the equipment Downwind foil course, and I've gone into basically details on what to look for when you're buying a paddle. Talk about shaft stiffness, blade size, blade angle, and paddle height. So lots of good answers in that. It's a common question that keeps coming up, so I figured why not do a video. So go check out that. I think it's going to help a lot of people answer a lot of questions. I also got a little note here. I also did a Flatwater foil test, and I'm actually going to share my findings actually now while it's fresh in my head. So here it is here. And essentially what I found was the PNG 1150 had the earliest lifting speed, lifting at around 9 k's an hour. So you can see in this graph here, and its max speed was 13.2. So look, it's a big foil, but lifting speed at around 9, max speed around 13 in flat water pumping is pretty good. Worth noting, I did have a little bit of seaweed, so that max speed might have been hindered, but that sort of makes sense to me, that sort of speed. Then the BSC 1120, lifting speed around 11 approximation, because these graphs are quite crude. The Garmin watches only show you so much. Max speed 12.6, so under the max speed of the PNG 1150, which I thought was really interesting and sort of backs up my thoughts, the BSC being a little bit draggy and not as lifty as the PNG 1150. So to me, the PNG and the BSC, I like the PNG better than the BSC. The disadvantage of the PNG is it's a bigger span, so it doesn't turn as well. The BSC shorter span turns better, but doesn't go as fast as you can see here. Okay, then I looked at the HPS 1050, so lifting speed around 12 k's an hour and the max speed around 15. So you can see much faster. And then there's a big jump to the ART 1099, so lifting speed around 14 k's an hour, pretty quick, and max speed up around 18 k's an hour. So you can see basically there's that goes much faster, but you have to be paddling much faster. And then the PNG 850, similar actually, in that it lifted around 13 k's an hour and its max speed was 17 k's an hour. So the graphs or the stats don't show it up, but basically the ART glided much better than the PNG 850, despite the speed. So thought I'd just share those. And I want to do a flat water test like that every week, and I can sort of share my findings here with you guys. But that was really interesting to me, that those foils. So basically the PNG seems to me like the best lifty section, better than the BSC. Not only does it lift earlier, but it goes faster. And then obviously the HPS is that middle ground. ART is much faster, much harder to get going. Then if you go smaller in the PNG series, you're finding kind of the same balance, but it doesn't glide as well, which we can't measure. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and I thought that was worth sharing on this sort of little monologue podcast. Let's now go to a bit of a discussion on distance downwind foiling. Been pretty cool lately. The crew here in Sydney and the East Coast have really leveled up, and they're looking to do longer runs. Jeremy, Oscar, and Zane did a really long one from the north side of Jarvis Bay all the way back to Kiola, which is where it's kind of a section of the 200k foil I did. They did about 80 k's, which is super impressive. I just had a quick chat to Zane, and the launch sounded like a serious mission, having to paddle out between some rocks, and there's heaps of backwash for the first sort of 5-10k. Jezza, amazing, mate. Jeremy's not that far into his downwind journey and lots of frustrating attempts. So to do 80 k's just shows that you're a madman. And obviously Oscar and Zane, epic. You guys are freaks. To do it without any support is awesome. And I know you guys want to hit the 100. I'll have to join you guys for that one. I was full FOMO, so Perth and I did a bit of a sand yesterday. We wanted to do Copacabana to Maroubra, but just with the timing and everything and the shuttling, it was an hour for me to drive to Maroubra, and then an hour and a half to Copa, and then it'll be an hour driving back. So I was like almost 4 hours of driving. I may as well just drive to Palmy, which is like half an hour, and then wing upwind. So I did that, and it was 15 kilometers as the crow flies from. I'll open it up. Where is it? It's just here. Yeah, so here it is. Here's the map to sort of show you what I did. So I winged from the inside here because there was a few waves. Didn't want to muck up before I even got going. The inside and winged all the way upwind to here. So it's about 15 kilometers upwind, northeasterly breeze, so coming this direction. The reason the drive sucks is because on the northern beaches, you literally have to drive all the way back out and around to the highway and then drive all the way back in. So it's a bit of a pain in the ass. And also, obviously, being in a city, driving from where I live in Narrabeen to where Perth lives in Bondi is through the city. So it's serious traffic. So yeah, we did that. And Perth wanted to go from Copa all the way back to Tama, which is about 50 Ks. Would have been an easy 50, but the problem was the wind was too east. So it was blowing this direction kind of thing. So basically he felt like he was cutting a lot of the time. I felt like it was okay, but going from here to here was much easier. And we sort of stopped off here and reassessed. We could have worked hard to get around. Long Reef, we had to work hard to get around North Head, but it was just a much easier run to get in there. And Perth he's not at 100% fitness. So we'll do it another day. But yesterday was not the day. Actually, while I got the map out, I'll show you what Jeremy, Oscar, and Zane did. So Oscar lives down here around Borley, and they went from Currarong, and basically they paddled out of this little spot here, Lobster Bay. So the wind's northeast and it's literally blowing straight into here. They paddled out and around this headland and kind of had to get, to me, it looks like I have to get around to Beecroft Head for a nice easy chip in, but lots of backwash here. And then from there, I'll measure it and show you guys. They said all this was pretty crappy, backwashy. And then I'll zoom out. And then from there to Kyola, yeah, 80K, 75, 80Ks. Yeah, 80Ks basically. And that's the run they did. And from all reports, the best was obviously after Jervis Bay. And then from Ulladulla back to Kyola was the best. So I reckon maybe I should go down to Bateman's Bay or sort of Browley next time if the bumps just keep getting better. Because, yeah, that messiness, they're talking Giroa, but you got to cut a fair way out. Or I'd love to do one from Bass Point one day with any crew that are keen. But yeah, just a little, I guess, update. Speaking about what I've seen in foiling lately, and the other thing I want to, before I wrap up, is the harness. JB lent me a harness, a Pro Limits wing harness. It's just like a little hook that you have on your waist, and you can kind of hook it in. That was sick. So winging upwind, normally I really feel it in my arms because you know they're getting pulled. But with the harness, literally my arm, it was like kiting. If anyone's kited, it's like your weight around your waist literally takes all the strain, and so the arms are just for adjusting. Took a little bit of practice to get it dialed, but it was, once I was set in, I was pretty sweet. But it was just setting it up and then unclipping it for the first 2 or 3, 4, 5 tacks. So that was good. Also worth mentioning, a little side note on my journey upwind, I was playing around whether to put the leash on the wing with the harness and almost lost my wing. I detached it and was just playing around in a big gust, pulled it out of my hands. And I was like, oh no, I had my paddle on the wing. So I was starting to paddle after it, and I was paddling after it and I couldn't quite get it, but probably 200 meters and I finally got it. And yeah, that was a near miss because that would have sucked. Only like 3 Ks from where I set off from, and almost lost my wing and my paddle. But yeah, I found it, so it was all good. So just be careful when you're taking your wing off and it's gusty, because I nearly stuffed up pretty badly. But yeah, that's the wrap. Thursday thoughts. The idea is I'll upload these every Thursday and let you guys know what's going on in my world, I guess. So I want to keep doing the Flatwater test. I'm going to do that again for next Thursday, and let me know what you guys want me to test and what you want me to report in on. But yeah, that's the plan. So thanks for listening. Keeping it nice and short, and see you next Thursday or Tuesday for whoever's tuning in. Cheers.